Well, let's talk about Agropolis, shall we? This is a puzzle solitaire card game. Well, actually, you can play 1 to 4 players. I've never played it with multiplayer. I've always played this since I got it as a solitaire game. This is a micro solitaire game. It's a city building game. It's a puzzle card game, and it's called Agropolis. Well, gee, Alex, haven't you talked about this game before? No, I've talked about this one. I've talked about Sprawlopolis. Okay? Same mechanics, both of these games. Agropolis is the sequel to Sprawlopolis. And I'm going to talk to you about the differences between Agropolis and Sprawlopolis. Mechanically, there's no difference. It's in the scoring that the difference appears. And also because Sprawlopolis is, a basic city. You got commercial, residential, you got a park, you got industrial. And Agropolis takes you out to the country, right? Because every block here, every card has 4 blocks, right? Every block here has livestock, has a vineyard, purple, orchards, which are red, and cornfields, which are yellow. So, it takes you out to the country. And a lot of the scoring in Agropolis is going to come from the manipulation here of this livestock. And here's something I want to tell you about real quick. You see how these are chickens, by the way. Do you see how that's split into 2? So that block is split into 2 pens, and that one is 1 pen. The reason I'm bringing this up is because in the scoring, if you didn't know this, the back of every card gives you additional scoring and additional penalties that you're going to be utilizing in every game you play, okay? And this is over and above the basic scoring and basic penalties in the game. So let's go over that. Let me take the rest of the game out of here and show you the instruction booklet. There it is. It's the same as Sprawlopolis, right? Except the feed fees, which I'm going to be completely honest with you, I haven't even bothered to. I find this game much trickier than Sprawlopolis, so I haven't even bothered with feed fees. But feed fees have to do with these animals here that show up at the bottom of these scoring cards, right? So I'm not going to talk about that because, to be honest, I've just ignored it. I've just completely ignored it. All right. So how do you play this game? Let me give you just a quick intro here, and then I'll go on to the differences in the scoring. You shuffle these. There's 18 cards here. You shuffle them. You take 3 of them after you shuffle, and these are going to be the 3 cards you're going to be playing with. That have additional scoring and additional penalties, right? And then you deal 3 cards to yourself. You put the draw deck there, and you take the top card and put it in the center. That's going to begin your city, okay? And then on your turn, which is every turn because you're playing solitaire, you're going to be placing cards into your city. You cannot place cards vertically. Every card has to go horizontal. And you can overlap. Right? I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. I can even cover the whole card if I want. Okay? What I cannot do, let's say I have this situation, is slip a card under another card. I cannot do that. Okay? But other than that, those are the placement rules, okay, for you to build your city. Now, at the end of the game, when you have your city built, the basic scoring is that you're going to be scoring the largest cluster of each of these properties, right? Largest cluster of each of these properties. So let's say this is my largest cluster of orchards. Well, that's only 3 blocks, 3 points. And then I'm going to look for the largest cluster of vineyards. And then I'm going to look for the largest cluster of cornfields and the largest cluster of, livestock. And I'm going to add my points that way. But you only choose the largest cluster of each of these territories. Okay, so that's one part of the scoring. Then you go to penalties, and that is every road in your city is -1 point. So it's important to try to create a long roads, right? Because in this case, I would have -1, -2, -3, and -4, right? But if this was split this way, for instance, I get more minus points, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So the more roads you have, the more deduction you're going to have. It's -1 point for each road that you have in your city. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep in mind building clusters of these things, and then whichever 3 cards you pull out. And by the way, there's as you can see here, there's a tremendous amount of variability because you're going to shuffle these cards. You never know which 3 cards you're going to get. You never know. It could be these 3, right? And you have a score. Once you pull these 3 cards out, you have a score that you have to beat, okay? Because in this case, you add these numbers up here. So this is 21, right? 12 plus 5, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I have to for me to beat the game, I have to get more than 21 points. So depending on which 3 cards you get, you're going to have a different score that you have to beat, okay? And believe me, it all balances out. It's quite cool. So let me go over a couple of these cards because I find them trickier than Sprawlopolis. I find these cards trickier because a lot of the scoring here happens with livestock, okay? And it's important to note, and I want to point this out right now, that here, for instance, you have livestock, but you have 2 sections, right? You have 2 sections. This figures in the scoring, right? Because here you have 1 section, you have 1 large pig pen, and here you have 2 cow pens in this block, right? So that matters for scoring. For instance, count your chickens, right? It says here you get 1 point for every chicken pen directly across a straight road segment from at least 1 other chicken pen. So you get 1 point, right? So let me use this as a pointer. There is a double, right? Like this. That's why it has 2 chickens. These are cows, but that right there is a double block, right, of livestock. So it is directly across a straight road. There's the straight road there from at least 1 other chicken pen. There's the chicken pen. So you scored 2 points, okay, for this one here because it's a double. And you score 1 point for this one here because, like this one, it's a single, right? So you got to consider all this stuff. This one here also gets 2 points, right? Because it's a double chicken pen, right? And it's directly across the straight road segment from at least 1 other chicken pen, right? So there you have it. That one gets 2 points. Now you get a minus point here. You get 4 points taken out if none of your chicken pens score as described above. So as you're building your city, you have to keep this stuff in mind because you're going to be putting cards out there that are chicken pens, and if you get -4 points if none of your chicken pens, like this one, are across from a straight road segment from at least 1 other chicken pen. So everything you build, you got to keep that in mind, or you're going to be getting extra minus points. I hope I didn't confuse you. I hope this is clear. If not, just pause the video and just take a good look at that. I'm telling you, this is much trickier than Sprawlopolis. Here's like an easy one. This is an easy one. 1 point for a pig pen adjacent to your longest road. So now again, because this is a double pig pen, it's 2 points because it's adjacent to my longest road. That one there, let me point this out. I wish I had like a pointer here. But that block there is adjacent to this block, so that's my longest road. That block is adjacent to that, so it's 1 point because it's a single pig pen, and it's adjacent to my longest road. This one gets 2 because it's a double block, and that one gets 1. This one here you get minus 1 point if your pig pen is not adjacent to your longest road. So, I mean, just in this game alone, like me picking these 2 cards, you have to focus on where you're putting your pig pens and where you're putting your chicken pens. And you have to think about your basic scoring. I mean, it just gets crazy. You know, this is corn tree roads is actually an easy one. This is more like a Sprawlopolis thing, right? You get 2 points for a road that passes through more cornfield blocks than any other block type. So that's not too complicated. But these 3 cards here, you have to consider all this stuff when you're building a city. So to me, Agropolis is just a thinkier game than Sprawlopolis, because Sprawlopolis will have these cards as well, but they tend to be a little simpler. And believe me, I mean, look at utterly. I could just go on. I think I talked about that, but I could just go on and on and on with these cards. And you see, a lot of these cards have to do with the livestock, and you're getting negative points here. I mean, it's just you need to really think about where you're putting your livestock in the city. The relationship with the other cards that are there, the basic scoring where you're trying to create clusters of each of these territories, and you have to worry about how many roads you have in your city, because you're going to get minus 1 point for every road. So there's a lot to think about in Agropolis. I think it's such a cool game. I love them both, Sprawlopolis and Agropolis, but I find Agropolis to be more challenging than Sprawlopolis. So it's a good sequel to Sprawlopolis because it's just more challenging, but so much fun. I love these little games. If you have not heard of Agropolis, look, I'm going to be doing a playthrough of Agropolis, okay? I'm going to be very soon. I'm going to be doing a playthrough of this so you can really get a good feel. But if you don't know anything about this game, I just introduced it to you. All I can really say at this point is go get one. Go get one.